Welcome to Patrick's Scale Studio. My name's Patrick. I'll be your host. This will be build video number 2 for the USS Fletcher DD445 in 1/200 scale by Trumpeter. Last time we worked on some beginning steps in getting the hull set up and getting some anchor pieces put in here to hold nuts in place so we can screw this down with these beautiful little brass pedestals when we're all finished up. Those are beginning steps. So then it's time now to discuss next steps here. I want to go ahead and apologize for the lengthy time in between last video and this video. During that time I had a week-long business trip up to Columbus, Ohio, and I've had some other projects going on, trying to refinish a great big dining room table, and just other things on my plate here. Since then also, I did get a replacement 1/200 scale chain from HS Models for destroyers. Go ahead and open this up and show you what it looks like. Here are the instructions, and as you can see, you get a build plate with a couple of anchors and a build plate with 2 sections of chain. Here are the anchors. I'm not going to take them out at this time. When it gets to be that time, we'll do so. And here are the chains. As you can see, most of it's already broken off of the supports, but it all looks to be intact, which is unfortunate because if you've ever pulled one of those chains off the supports, it is intensely satisfying to do. I'll go ahead and put that aside for right now. I discussed the order of operations here as well. So you started to look around here in the manual here and try to figure out how I was going to transfer some of this color to a scale size of the hull, or get the masking. So I did go ahead and scan this page right here, printed out some scale renderings there, so I should be able to cut this out and lay it over some masking and cut that out when the time comes in order to do so. So there's that. But something else I noticed here while I was looking through this is there are pieces above this main deck that will get some of that same coloration there from the hull. It extends above where that main deck is. So it's right there, and it's right here. I'll show you actually where in the instructions those are too. So E8 and E12, which would be going on here and here. It looks like those are just splinter shields for Oerlikons, and these edges butt right up to the very edge of the deck, so the camouflage and coloration will extend above the main deck. And then it's back here a ways. Yep, still going. Ah, there we are. Page 17. Darn near the end of all of the instructions on this. We can see E22 and E23. And those go on close to right here. And as far back as we've already gotten this, masking and painting that would not be fun. So I would rather go ahead and get those put on now. Those two and the splinter shields that I pointed out earlier, I'd rather get those on when I'm setting about getting everything painted up. So my order of operations here are going to be as follows. I'm going to get this glued in place. After that is set up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pre-paint and mask off those parts, E8, E12, E22, and E23. We're going to get everything here primed, and we're going to get those pieces cemented in place. And then we'll go ahead and start masking off the hull, starting with the hull red, the black boot stripe, then we're going to go for that darker gray color there so I can get the deck, and I can get the base for the dark navy blue squigglies. So be right back here when we're ready to go ahead, get this space cleared out and get ready to examine how this joins up to the hull. Okay, so we got our workspace cleared off, and now we just have our hull and the main deck. You notice one of the easiest ways to get this fit in is to start at the very back and just kind of work my way forward a little bit by little bit. And I don't have any cement or anything on here at all. I really just want to test fit. As you can see, going along, test fitting, test fitting, test fitting. And everything looks like it fits pretty nicely except for right here. And actually even up here when I press this down. So let's investigate. Alright, so it was on this side here. I can see right now exactly why. We have, it looks like these little sprue gates from where this was poured or injected. And we have a total of 4 of them. I'm going to go ahead and, using a chisel bladed X-Acto, get them all removed. Because the goal is to get this to fit without it bowing out. See, the plastic's not terribly hard, terribly difficult, or anything like that to go. And on the bottom, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's not going to make a bit of difference in the final appearance up top. Alright, so, let's see. Alright. The alternative, if you don't feel like using this, would just be using a decent grit on a sanding stick or sandpaper and just kind of going at it and getting them knocked back. Just, you know, something like this. And if you even wish to clean them up afterwards, but really it's not going to make not a bit of difference. But that's really all it is. So, let's go ahead and bring it on up and have a look and see how it fits now. Starting at the back, working our way forward, and look at that. No gap, well, the gap, there's touch gap, but that's easy enough just to kind of hold that and close it. But for the most part, the fit here is excellent. So I want to go ahead and get this cemented into place, get everything closed up gap-wise, and then, you know, we can paint the thing as a whole and put down the decals afterwards. So be right back in just a sec. Okay, we're just continuing on here. Found it was going to be easier to do this without the billboard mounted underneath. So I went ahead and took that off and got the deck put in place and some rubber banding here, and as you can see with some nice chunks of foam right here to kind of keep the rubber bands off of where that seam is, just in the very off chance that a little bit of cement may leak out. I don't want any kind of reaction with anything else, just the deck to the hull itself here. So go ahead and start getting some of this cemented in place. And it's going to capillary into that joint, and I'm not really too concerned right now about getting underneath where the rubber bands are, because those are just tiny little spots. I can come back after most of this is set up and I can put cement onto the spots where the rubber bands are currently. Alrighty, there we go. as you can see, we just really want to get some extra thin flowing down into this what's the word I'm looking for? Into this joining seam between the deck and the hull. I found previously that tripper plastic works wonderfully with Tamiya extra thin. So you don't have to use the quick setting or anything like that, because I'm actually going to let this set up for a while before I take off the banding. And carefully move it around. And carefully for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to jostle any of these pieces up to where this foam might make contact with the cement. But then two, I also realize that the propeller shafts and the rudder are beneath here, and we don't want to have any cause for concern on those getting knocked off or damaged in any way. So let's see here, just about finished up. I don't know how that happens. Anyone who's got pets probably has from time to time dealt with a pet hair appearing on a cement brush or a brush that you're actively using for painting. But it just seems odd because it's usually closed. I don't leave things of cement wide open or anything like that for some of these little hairs to just wander into. Let's see here. All right. Let's get this back a little bit. Now it looks like we will have to put just a touch of filler up here. That's not a big deal at all, because it looks like it'll be very minimal. At any rate, there is the cementing. And go ahead and it'll be a few hours for me, just a second for you. Be right back. All right, well, the cement has cured for the most part. This is pretty solid. So relatively happy with how that went together. Probably do a little bit of really super light sanding just to kind of get rid of some of this glue mark, glue stain, cement stain, whatever you want to call it. But there is a teeny tiny little gap, and it's up front. Not a problem though, because it's so small, and it's not a part that is going to really encounter any kind of stress. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and just use a little bit of Mr. White putty. I got my trusty tool. I believe this is from Squadron from way back in the day. Just going to go ahead and come in here and start smushing this right into that little gap. Really won't have to do very much smushing because it's a small gap, and for the most part it's full. The brilliant part about this is it won't take very long to cure. I come in here with a sanding stick and sand it nice and flat and flush, and that'll completely get rid of that tiny little gap right there. So on to the next bit of this video. So when I mentioned getting some parts here and getting them attached onto the hull and the deck right here, I was talking about E8 and 12 and E22 and 23. As you can see, these kind of just go over here. There's not really any positive placement locations here though for E22 and 23. So in order to get those positioned properly, we're going to have to go into the kit and find the sections of superstructure that'll go into here and get them kind of temporarily put in. No cement or anything like that, but get them temporarily put into place, and then that should allow us to identify where these parts go. These splinter shields here though, E8 and E12, they're just going to pop right on. There are spots right here where these go, and little placement pins on the bottom. Yep, right there. I was looking at the bottom. Little placement pins right here that'll help locate them in the deck positively. But for these shields, these splinter shields that go right here, I think that's what they're called, definitely need to get this cleaned up. There are additional little parts that go on here, B19 and B20, that will have to get cemented in place as well. Once I get this cleaned up, those put in place, temporarily put that in, that'll help me locate where these guys go on this hull. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting these pieces cleaned up and be right back. As I mentioned, getting B19 and B20 onto this are going to play a pivotal role in fitting the pieces that go right here, and I believe those are actually bulwarks, not splinter shields. Splinter shields are what protects guns and gun crews. Bulwarks, I believe, are just what is a wall, top side of a ship. At any rate, you can see how that comes out, and that is where these are going to come into place right there. So these little pieces here, the B19 and B20, are going to be pivotal for getting things located properly. So with that, go ahead and start getting these pulled off. Okay. And while we're here, I'm just going to have a look here. The detail here is impressive. Let me see if I can get this to focus for you. Yep, there you go. Just absolutely phenomenal detail all the way around. I'll go ahead and sand off our sprue nibs. Can't feel anything, so that's a win. Alright, can't feel anything there either, so that's a win. Now one thing I did notice is these have ejector pin marks on the back. I think the visibility on these is going to be debatable, but someone determined enough could get in there and see them. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of them while at least we've got them out, rather than getting them installed and then down the road saying, oh man, I wish I had gotten those taken care of. They're really nice and shallow ejector pin marks, so just a little bit of sanding will take care of them for the most part. Okay, we got those ejector pin marks done for the most part. Smooth it out with a 400 grit. Alright, I like. And then there's, of course, I mean, they had to put one there inside the little door frame, so it helps to have just a little sanding stick like this, where you may have trimmed up a bit of it so that it's at a point, so you can get in there. But now that is dealt with as well. Alright, 0 ejector pin marks. So go ahead and get on with putting this in place. As you can see, there are 2 locating tabs here and 2 locating slots here. And the goal is to get this lined up flushly. with this deck just above it. And no big science mysteries here afterwards. Just brush a little extra thin on. Come on back and have a look and make sure he's lined up how you want. There we go. I really like how everything so far has been fitting on this kit. Had some trumpeter kits in the past that have been a little dodgy on fit or a little dodgy on accuracy. I've had other great, fantastic trumpeter kits. Some trumpeter kits that are accurate, fits good after a certain amount of cleaning. But so far, so good. Everything on this is fitting ideally, with minimal cleanup required, except for stupid little things like that. And that probably boiled down to the kit designer, or I'm sorry, the machinist who did the molds. Probably thought, well, they might not be able to see in there, so this would be a premium, an optimum spot to put an ejector pin. But I mean, if you put it in there and you really did get to looking, you would eventually be able to see in there just a little bit, not a lot, but you would be able to. So, you know, if you're determined enough, you can see it. So I figured, why bother wishing I had done it at a later point in time. Okay, so while I was waiting for these pieces to dry right here, I went ahead and got the sanding of that putty knocked down. That's nice and smooth. There's no gap there now. And we can go ahead and start looking how these are going to go on. I'm going to go ahead and put that into place right now. And as you can see here, it's in these little raised walkways. This is where decals are going to go. That seems to go in there just very precisely, because there's just a tiny little, thin little straight area right beneath those where the bottom of this bulkhead is going to fall. So go right there. That looks good. Very, very well fitting, tight fitting parts as well. I don't have any gaps or anything like that. Nothing unseemly to take care of. So with that taken care of, now I can actually look at separating these parts here from their sprue and locating them where they would go. Now mind you, I'm not really going to go ahead and glue them down just yet. First of all, I would absolutely like to get them pre-painted, get them prepared, ready to go, so that when that time does come, we're all set. But I did just want to have a quick idea of what it is we're looking at here. So there are some sprue nibs you have to clean up after you get it off the sprue. Just going ahead and doing so now. Definitely going to need a little bit more cleanup here. Yeah, there's one. A little bit more precise cleanup. One thing I would like to point out here is I'm not sure if you can make them out on the camera. Let me see if I can get it closer. A little focus or anything would be helpful here. There are actually shallow ejector pin marks on the exterior of this piece. In other words, the outside of this piece, the face of this that's facing port, has 1, 2, 3, 4 ejector pin marks. So those are going to have to be dealt with. Now these are rather shallow, so that's a good thing. But the idea here behind me taking this off was that when I'm ready to fit that, put it right there, I have an exact, very precise location with this piece in place. I can spot weld that in place with a little thin, Tamiya extra thin, and then I can mask this up appropriately for painting when I get to the dark gray and the navy blue squigglies that go up and down the side. So that's the idea with this. Now the other part here is going to be these splinter shields. Let me get this out of the way real quick. Those splinter shields are right back here, E12 and E8. I'll just go ahead and separate E8. I'm taking off all the port pieces that we're going to be concentrating on. And again, the idea here is we'll get the whole red down, we'll get the boot stripe down, we'll get the dark gray all over here and on top of this deck. On the back sides of these pieces, we'll put in that light gray that's called for, and then spray some light gray on the front, well, on the front of this where it would show up, and then mask this off so that I can go back in afterwards with the blue and I can get it to match up perfectly from the hole up to where it would show up on like these splinter shields. See how that meets up with the outside of the hole? Right there? Yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of blue, navy blue, that goes up onto this. So that is the idea behind doing it this way. This right here will not be cemented down until later steps, but if I'm diligent with the placement of this, then when it comes time to put this down, I won't have an issue at all. It'll just pretty much precisely snap into place, and there might be just a little bit of touch-up work here in order to get that seam cleared up, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Being a World War II destroyer, we can put quite a bit of weathering into this to hide any kind of tiny little sins and things like that. Kind of the same idea behind armor modeling. One thing I'm not yet 100% sure on is whether or not I'm going to be putting these propeller guards onto the back of the hull prior to painting. I'll probably wait until I at least get the boot stripe done. That way I don't have to worry about masking up and over this or anything like that. But I'm not sure yet. Alright, so without further ado, I think we're going to call this video finished. Next time we come back, we should have these parts taken off completely. This is going to be primed. These will be primed and pre-painted with the color on the inward side of this, and we will go from there. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, stay safe, happy modeling.